Hi there folks, welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be talking about the stuff that was revealed for Warhammer the Old World over the weekend as part of the Warhammer Day preview that went out. We got a little bit of a better look at what's coming up for the Kingdom of Bretonnia, and in that sense also what's coming out as part of the launch range, I suppose you could say, for the Kingdom of Bretonnia when Warhammer the Old World arrives next year. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the rest of the video. So we got to see a whole bunch of the new plastic kits alongside some returning plastic kits. Metal releases also been slated as coming out as well, alongside some kits that have been changed and updated from metal, or I would imagine Finecast, to be used as Forge World Resin pieces instead. So we got a quite nice look at what's coming up for the Kingdom of Bretonnia, and everything seems very much in line with what a lot of people wanted from this. We're getting, decent sized Warhammer fantasy armies once again, sort of hitting the tabletop, which I think is very cool. I did a little bit of a screenshot-a-thon as I was diving into the video yesterday, and so I thought I'd just go through and have a chat about these and tell you what I think about each of them. So one of the big models that was revealed was the Royal Pegasus, with the model on the top of it that can come in a variety of different options. So you can either do the Duke, as you can see there, with the lance at the ready, and that wonderful Pegasus underneath. And as they were saying as part of the stream, the person with the biggest hat is clearly the most important when it comes to the Kingdom of Bretonnia and who's leading the way. So you've got a very nice Duke there. This one's going to be one of the plastic kits that's coming out, which is quite nice. Lots of nice options for that. Nice, good close-ups here. I see that they put the face under the visor, which no one's ever going to paint. At least anybody I know is never going to paint that. It'll just be a regular black slit, I think, there at the top for that helmet. But it's nice to see that the detail is there underneath it all, which is good. One of the other things you can do with the kit is you can turn it into a Baron. So this is one of the alternative options when it comes to arming the miniature. So as you can see there, got a sword rather than a lance, which you can see with the model there. And obviously they've painted the Pegasus differently as well, which is nice to see. But if you're looking to play as a slightly more nefarious Baron perhaps in your games, you've got an option to do that as well. Lots of space for you to put your heraldry on as well and do all the lovely painting on the livery at the same time, which is quite nice to see. You can also turn the Royal Pegasus Rider into a battle standard bearer. So we'd seen battle standard bearers already for Kingdom of Bretonnia. We had one mounted on the back of a regular horse. We had an on-foot version of the battle standard bearer, which we had seen as well. And now we're obviously getting one who's on the back of a Royal Pegasus. So if you're somebody who wants to make sure that your auras are in the right place, they have definitely given you the option to run with that on the tabletop, which is quite nice to see. And again, just nice to see so many different options coming through for somebody wanting to use one of these kits, I think. Very good. And there's a few more detail shots of the battle standard bearer as you will get it and as you can play with. Very nice indeed. Sticking with new stuff, we also got to see a new plastic kit for the Knights of the Realm on foot. This is going to be another modular plastic set that allows you to either arm them with those rather large double-handed axes, sort of halberd, polearm-esque weapons. Now, a lot of people have talked about the helmets and stuff. They look a little bit odd to me. I think it's because they've gone for very much just a flat surface on the front of the helmets. I would prefer them to have a slightly more of a angular feel to them, so a little bit more like this fellow's here rather than this one. I mean, obviously they've got lots of weird stuff on the top of their helmets, because that tends to be what you get when you're playing with Bretonnians. They have weird things on top of their helmets to represent their houses and all that kind of thing, and their lineage and stuff. But perhaps It would be nice to see someone do some alternate heads for some of these to give them slightly more of that classic knight look. I suppose maybe they may have done this so that they can sort of bring it in line with their own aesthetic for Warhammer the Fantasy Battles and stuff, and Warhammer the Old World, but we shall see. It'll be interesting to see what it's like when other people paint them up, because I think that's going to be one of the other tests for the range when it eventually comes out. But not all knights ride around on horses. Some of them are dismounted, and so this gives you the option to run with those, as you can see on the slightly bigger bases as well, which tends to be the case with a lot of stuff we're seeing for the Old World at the moment. And there's some of the other options for them. So we saw the double-handed axes there, but then you can also run with the sword and shield if you prefer. I think I prefer the sword and shield. I do like the idea of like a big unit of knights just smashing their way through the enemy lines with great axes, but there is something very cool about the sword and shield combo, especially that sort of paladin-esque fellow that you see there at the front. I think he's particularly awesome, but not a bad little set of models, I would say, for Bretonnia getting there as well. And so there's your standard bearer for the unit and your champion. Obviously you'll have your musician as well, probably somewhere. There you go, there's the musician. But there's your champion model that we were just talking about, and the standard bearer with the icon of the lady within that lovely little shrine. I wonder if these locks are promises that have been made to the lady, that they will do great things in battle, and so they've been attached to the shrine to sort of keep their promises to her. That could be kind of cool. Either that, or a lot of people kiss under this and propose to their loved ones, like those bridges and stuff that you get in Europe. But yeah, very nice. As well as the new kits, we're also going to be seeing some returning ones. This is what I mean by the angular helmets. Like, I really like this style where you get that the guards sort of go out at an angle. I think that looks really nice, and it just feels like, I know the other helmets are slightly way more detailed, and that's great because it means they'll pop when you see people painting them. But there's just something about just that classic knight helm that just works for me. As you can see here. But so yeah, you're going to be able to get your hands on classic plastic kits as well as part of the Kingdom of Bretonnian range when it launches. So you've got your classic Knights of the Realm, your Pegasus Knights as well, and those Pegasi. I mean they still look cool, I guess, but I mean, compared to the new Royal Pegasus, I think a lot of people are probably going to be doing some converting and some kit bashing to make their own Pegasus Knights, I think. But it's good to see them coming back, of course. Classic men-at-arms also coming down the way. So if you're looking to build up your rank and file of your Bretonnian army, you're going to be able to walk out onto the battlefield with your bill hooks and shields and swords and shields and all that kind of stuff, and your musician beating a drum with a pair of enchanted frogs, perhaps, as I said. So you've got your sort of rank and file, your peasantry to use in the game. Talking of peasantry, there's also the peasant bowmen. They're going to be coming back with their classic plastic kit getting stuck back into service once again. Slightly bigger bases again, I think, for these models, as you can see, compared to what we've had previously for them. Which obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6-man frontage, which is interesting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Obviously, these have been done in lance formation, so the lance formation might come back, I would assume, for the Bretonnians. But yeah, 6 base frontage for your units could potentially be the standard, perhaps, when it comes to ranking up, rather than it being 5 wide and however many deep as it tended to be with the last edition of the game. Interesting. But yeah, so you got your men-at-arms, you got your peasant bowmen, really nice kits even now, I think. It's good to see them coming back. Obviously, more modern kits have a lot more detail and stuff worked into them, but I think these just really encompass what's so awesome about the old world, that kind of feel and aesthetic from those old regiments, and it's good to see that back. The field trebuchet, so this is one of the interesting ones. So this was originally a metal set, and then they've said that they're going to re-release this as a Forge World Resin kit. So it'll be way easier to put together, or you could just make your own out of balsa wood, as some people have said, and coffee stirrers and all that kind of stuff. But it's really nice that they've got the whole crew there in the mix as well. So you've got the little kid there with the catapult, which is quite funny. And then you've got all the rest of the artillery crew, fellow with the dog as well, loading the stones in there to be hoofed across the battlefield. But it's good to see that it's actually coming back, and they're going to be doing it with Forge World Resin so that it's actually a nice kit to put together rather than an absolute pain in the arse, which bodes well for other models in the extended Old World range that are coming out in the future. Here's a look at some of the other models. So there's the battle standard on foot that we saw previewed earlier in the week. There's your battle standard bearer on horse. There's your handmaiden on the back of her wonderful unicorn. And then there's your sort of paladin character, one of your mighty warriors there. So, as I say, these are going to be a mix of Forge World Resin stuff and plastic characters coming out over the next while. I think these ones were touted as Forge World Resin. Don't quote me on that, but they're going to be coming out. It's going to be very expensive, I feel, getting back into the old world, but we shall see what they do price-wise for a lot of this. Definitely going to be one of those collector's games, perhaps, rather than it being something mainstream as a project. But we shall see. We shall see. I will not count my chickens. We also got to see a caster model. So when I saw the silhouette for this, I thought we were going to be getting a look at the high elves for the old world, maybe getting a little bit of a sneak peek. But no, we got to see another handmaiden of the lady for you to use in your games. So these are your casters that will be using to cast your spells, getting across that distinctive nature-based theme that you get with the Lady of the Lake and stuff in the Kingdom of Bretonnia. Wonderful staff there, and I love the work there on the sort of marbled stave, and then that lovely sort of styled fleur-de-lis style thing at the top there, which is very good. She's even got one on there and on there. It's all over the place because French, right? She's even got the lovely buttons and things. Very nice model. Looks like it could be a plastic one, I would guess, but we shall see as we get closer to release. So yeah, not too bad in the grand scheme of things when it comes to what's coming up for Bretonnia. As I mentioned while we were looking through this at the start as well, they kind of gave us a soft date, I suppose. So it looks like we're going to be seeing the old world arriving as one of the first releases of 2024. So we've obviously, as I was talking about Middle-earth last week, they probably aren't going to be doing much about that because of all sorts of other things going on, including the Old World and Legions Imperialis, which was meant to come out earlier this year but never did. In fact, it was probably meant to come out in, I think it was August, for the full release of Legions Imperialis, but we never got that. So this looks like it's going to be the next big thing following on from the 40k releases that we get for the autumn and the winter of 2023. So yeah, an early release, a release early in 2024, where we get to dive back into the world of Legend, which will be very fascinating to see. And it'll be good to see what other previews come up in the near future, considering what we're getting here for the Bretonnians. So yeah, very nice stuff indeed, as I was saying. And it's good to know that we have a sort of soft launch for when we'll be getting access to the book and all that kind of stuff. After Christmas seems like a great time to do it. People will have disposable income from Christmas and all that kind of thing that they'll be able to, presents and the like, that they'll be able to put towards building new armies and stuff. And it will be interesting to see where they go with this in the future. I would hope that we get to see more from Khemri, which was going to be the other force that came out as a release army. So hopefully we see more from Khemri in the run-up to Christmas and then moving into 2024. And then from there, I'd assume we'll hopefully be getting those two armies hitting the tabletop alongside maybe a smattering of kits returning for the other factions that were announced, along with the book, of course, and everything like that. So people can actually start to dive in and start playing the game. There was an interesting thing. So towards the end of this video, we got kind of like this look at this force here. So I don't know if this is them teasing anything, perhaps, or if it's literally just them showcasing it. But this looks like it could be a box of stuff that you could get at release. So you get the Pegasus Knights, you get the Bowmen, you get 2 sets of men-at-arms, you get the Foot Knights there, right? And then you get the plastic kit for the Duke or the Baron, whichever one you do, alongside the Trebuchet at the back. And then we kind of get something sort of covered over on this side, but it looks like more Foot Knights and another Pegasus riding warrior there. So there's your Baron or your battle standard bearer, and then there's your Duke. So, you know, they are definitely showcasing something here. Could this be the contents of the launch box that we get for the Old World and the Bretonnians? Because obviously they're going to, from what we know anyway, well, from what we think, they're going to be doing sort of a box set that would be focused on the Bretonnians and then a box set focused on Khemri. That will sort of allow you to dive in and start with those 2 armies. And because, you know, they've made no bones about the fact that they want to play around with plastic metals and Forge World Resin stuff, I can't see any reason why they wouldn't bundle things together into one box, because they're not essentially making this something that's immediately accessible to lots and lots of people, you know, so they don't have to have everything in plastic in the set. But I guess we'll see. There was another thing that was going through my mind that I was also thinking about. That was it. So obviously we're going to be getting lots of plastic kits and the Forge World Resin things. They also mentioned that a fair amount of stuff is also going to be coming out as made-to-order bits and pieces. So I wonder if they're going to do it something like what we saw for Middle-earth over the last couple of years, where they'll do a string of made-to-order sort of windows, effectively. So you'll get one at the beginning which will be focused on Bretonnia and Khemri, and you'll be able to get your sort of orders in to get your hands on those miniatures, and then maybe they'll sort of fade back a little bit and they'll sort of go into the background as they move towards the next army. So maybe, for example, if it was High Elves, they'd come out with a re-release of all the plastic stuff, but then some of the metals you'd only be able to get on a made-to-order basis for a small period of time. The reason that I say that they might do that kind of windowed vibe is that I have this feeling that they've not really solved any of their production issues in-house. So, you know, throwing lots and lots of additional kits back into the mix for people to pick up just seems like it's going to make the problems that they're already suffering worse. I guess time will tell when it comes to that kind of thing, and hopefully they get to sort of conquer that in the next couple of weeks as we move towards the end of the year and stuff, but we shall see. But yeah, Kingdom of Bretonnia looking very nice. Khemri probably going to be next up, I would imagine, as part of the next preview, which I don't think is actually that far away. I'm still excited for this. There was a video that I put up, which you'll see linked at the end of this one, where I was talking about what army I'm going to prepare for the Old World, which is now coming sooner than I thought. I was thinking dwarves. I'm still thinking dwarves. But I am also thinking about how awesome it would be to do a White Lions of Thrace army, or for use in the Old World, because I do really like White Lions, and it would be good to paint something a little bit different from dwarves. But then, and I do actually have a dwarf army, so I don't necessarily have to build any more dwarves, even though I would love to repaint them. I'm not going to do that, because my paintings come on quite a way since I last painted Warhammer Fantasy Battles armies. So yeah, maybe High Elves, maybe a little High Elf force could be quite fun. Or maybe I go back and I do the kind of army that I'd thought of previously for the Empire, where I do it very much focused around witch hunters and that kind of thing. But it'll very much depend on sort of where things go in terms of the lore and things, because we know it's kind of focused around the Great War Against Chaos. So it's in the run up to Magnus the Pious and his fight against Azavar Kull, whichever his name is. I can't remember. But either way, that is the kind of vibe that I'm sitting in at the moment. I either go dwarves and I do an entirely new dwarf army and I do some repainting, or I just get new models. I go White Lions of Thrace and do like a really badass sort of burly elf army, or I go down the route of doing sort of Empire and really nailing my colours to the mast for that and doing a quirky sort of peasant style army for that. I think that could be very cool, especially with this kind of being still around the time that more time exists and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's me waffling on for at least 20 minutes there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments down below of the reveals that we got for Warhammer the Old World. Do you like the mix of new plastics, old plastics, metals, and Forge World Resin stuff that's going to be coming our way? Are you happy that it's coming out at the start of 2024? Would you have preferred for it to be coming out sooner than that or later than that? What armies are you preparing for this? And where would you like to see the game go in the future? I'm getting the vibe that we're getting something a little bit smaller in scale, with the use of units that are more in line with kind of earlier editions of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So where you're not getting like 20, 40, 60 models in a unit, you're getting maybe like 10, 20 at max. And there seems to be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more focus around maneuverability and heroes being big again as well. That could be quite interesting to see. But anyway, I'm just waffling now. And I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. I'm going to move on and get ready to dive into another video. I'll be showing off some more of my Space Wolves soon to show you kind of what I've been doing with that, and how things are coming along with the paint schemes and things with that kind of little continuing series. And then I might get back to talking a little bit more about Middle Earth next week, as I have some ideas that I would love to circulate with you all. But yeah, some fun stuff coming up for Bretonnia, I think. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. Ooh, bye-bye.